Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're taking a first principles journey to strip away all that constant hype and, those sensational headlines you always see about the so-called death of cash. We're going to build a really rock-solid, wholesome understanding of what is actually happening to our global economic system. And we're doing it by focusing on the underlying machinery rather than just getting caught up in surface-level trends.
So, we have to start with this big question. Will money go digital? Now, usually when people hear this, they immediately start arguing about paper notes versus mobile apps, or cash in a wallet versus a digital balance on a screen. But I want us to shift our focus entirely. To really answer this, we first need to spark a little curiosity about what money actually is at its core, long before it ever takes the shape of paper or pixels. Because money isn't really a thing, it's a system for societal coordination. Think of it like the hidden numbering system behind a bustling, totally chaotic wholesale market in Karachi. The individual stalls might look different from day to day, the goods being traded might change entirely, and the ways people pay might shift from coins to paper to phones. But that hidden purpose, the need for everyone to have a shared way to know exactly what something is worth, who owes what to whom, and when a trade is truly finished, that remains exactly the same. So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. If you strip away the physical forms, the credit cards, the apps, the paper notes, money is literally just doing three vital jobs. First, it measures value, so we can sensibly compare the price of an apple to, say, a car. Second, it stores value, so we can save our purchasing power today and actually use it next year. And third, it settles trade, so we don't have to carry chickens around to barter for our daily coffee. Everything about cash, bank transfers, and mobile wallets starts making perfect sense once you realize they're all just tools we've hired to do these three specific jobs.
Section 1. Why money went digital. Digital money exists for a very simple reason. Money's core jobs just became way easier to do using information networks. Actually, let's look at the reality of physical money for a second. Cash is incredibly useful, but man, it comes with immense friction. It's surprisingly expensive to print, to transport, and to keep secure. Plus, it's really hard to move in large amounts. Just imagine literally trying to hand over $1 million in physical bills. It's incredibly awkward to use when the buyer and seller are far apart from each other. And it's agonizingly slow when transactions need to happen frequently and instantly.
To really anchor this concept, think about moving water. If you need to move water once across a small distance, well, a bucket is absolutely fine. It gets the job done. But if you're suddenly tasked with supplying a massive 50-story apartment building with running water every single day, buckets become ridiculously clumsy. You need pipes. Pipes do the exact same job of moving water, but with a fraction of the effort. Cash is like that bucket. Digital money is the pipe. On top of that, modern life runs on scale. We buy from global online stores, we split restaurant bills instantly with friends, we pay monthly subscriptions, and we get our salaries through direct deposit. Now, a simple notebook is fantastic if you're just manually tracking a few things. But when your list explodes into millions of rapid-fire entries, you desperately need a spreadsheet. Digital money exists because our society evolved into this massive, interconnected network that simply demanded a monetary system capable of searching, updating, and auditing at lightning speed.
Section 2. Different tools, different jobs.
Now, the rise of digital money does not mean the total eradication of cash, because they're simply optimized for different jobs. It's a lot like footwear. You don't use one single pair of shoes for every conceivable situation in your life. Sandals are way better in some settings, like hanging out at the beach. Heavy-duty boots are much better in others, like hiking up a mountain. Neither of them is fake footwear, right? You just naturally start preferring different tools for different situations based on the exact job you need done. But let's pause here and ask a really serious question. If digital money acts like this amazing high-speed pipe and massively scalable spreadsheet, why on earth do we still have physical cash floating around at all? The answer is that cash has this enduring, almost unbreakable power precisely because of its simplicity. You see, a technology is genuinely powerful only if it works for ordinary people in completely ordinary or even highly chaotic conditions. Cash remains an incredibly robust fallback because it's universal. Almost anyone, anywhere can accept it. It's instant, and it's final. It's private by default. And crucially, it is profoundly simple. You don't need a fully charged battery, a cell tower signal, the latest app update, or a forgotten password just to hand someone a physical note. Think of a modern city. The city runs super efficiently on a massive electrical grid. But
Almost every hospital and major building still keeps a physical generator down in the basement. Why? Well, because while the main system is highly efficient, the backup system is resilient. Cash plays the exact role of that generator in our monetary system. It is absolutely the most dependable, rock-solid backup we have for when the digital grids are strained or totally offline. Section 3. Convenience versus control. When we shift from cash to code, we aren't just speeding up our old habits, we're actively creating new ones. Let's look at this balance objectively. Neither side here is perfectly good or perfectly bad. They're just optimized for completely different values. Digital money is vastly easier to track, which brings wonderful benefits, things like accounting transparency, automatic tax compliance, and catching fraud. But the exact same feature that allows for transparency also allows for increased surveillance and creates a huge dependency on infrastructure. Cash, on the other hand, is harder to track and private by default. That protects anonymity, but it makes things like remote, cross-border transfers incredibly difficult. So it really is a fundamental trade-off between frictionless convenience and independent control.
Section 4. The future of money. This entire shift fundamentally changes the rhythm of our economic lives. Like that family in Karachi we talked about earlier, relying on instant digital remittances during an emergency. To summarize this ultimate rebalancing that's taking place, we're seeing 3 massive shifts. First, the center of economic gravity is moving permanently away from physical handling over to digital infrastructure. Second, the world of cash is pivoting from being the primary everyday tool to acting as that vital, resilient backup generator. And third, and honestly, this is the deepest shift of all, our very concept of trust is changing. We're moving away from asking, can I hold this in my hand, to asking, can I rely on the networked system behind it?
Which leaves us with this final, somewhat provocative thought. Once you understand that money is just a system for social coordination, you kind of stop reacting to all those sensational headlines about the death of cash. The future isn't about paper just vanishing overnight. It's a fundamental redesign of the rails underneath our everyday exchanges. The real question we all need to be asking isn't whether money is going digital, but rather, what kind of resilient, inclusive, and networked infrastructure are we actively building right now to support the future of human coordination? Think about that the next time you tap your phone to pay. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the systems around you.